So I know that we were going to build a Moonlander just now, but I needed to show you guys a few things because I've updated some mods have gotten updated, and just generally there's a few new things that I wanted to show off to you guys before we get on to our moon mission with Jebediah. The first thing is that B9 got updated since the last time we've been playing, and it's added a lot of really cool spaceship parts in the fact that you can now build like a spaceship, like one from a sci-fi fantasy, basically. So, you know, let's just put this in here. We're gonna do this. Is gonna be brief. Don't worry about it. We'll get into Project Destiny in a second. But you can do things with all these really cool new structural pieces that are massive. So you've got like these blocks and stuff. But I mean, that's not the biggest it goes. You also have, you know, stuff like this, which is crazy big and massive, and you can actually change these parts, and this is new to B9, so you can you know, change the tank setup, and some of them have different graphics, others don't, but as you notice, it added liquid fuel and oxidizer, and that one just brought it back. So if we actually go back to, you know, say we wanted to make a space plane, for example, in whatever style you want to, you can take this for, you know, basically any B9 part now and create something pretty cool with it. So you can add this fuselage, but you can right click on it and change it to have only liquid fuel. So that would be like a normal aircraft, right? You wouldn't need oxidizer because you're not using a rocket engine. Then you would add, you know, the oxidizer if you're going to use something to get into space, and then monopropellant, so RCS and all that. And then there's just the standard stuff like that. Some of them have different graphics, others do not. There's like new crew tanks for it, so you can actually, you know, put other people in it. You can do the same thing you did before, which is turn the lights on and off on it, which is quite cool. There's just generally a lot of really a lot of really awesome new parts. And to show you just a brief example of what you can do, I made this in probably about 10 minutes, the test ship. Let's load that. A lot of those were just standard stuff that came with it. So you could do things like this, which is really big. We're not used to, well, actually, we are used to pretty big ships in Kerbal, but that's not what I mean. I mean, like, actual sci-fi spaceships. And this, like I said, this took me about 10 minutes to throw together just to make it look cool. Has the same features as everything else. You can add, you know, different fuel tanks, as liquid fuel, monopropellant. Like even these awesome cargo bays and stuff, you can change the way they look by doing different variants. So you can have like the top off and stuff, and you can have it enclosed. You can have it the way I had it. You can even add supports in the middle, and just generally, it's kind of hard to see with that, but generally getting it any way that you want it, so you can basically make the coolest sci-fi pieces ever. B9 also added a new engine. These suckers are amazing. Overpowered, I think, is the correct word for it, but they are really deep in the tree. So where are they? Yeah, gosh, I can't even find it anymore. There it is. It's just like a box, but max thrust. And these are two different thrust ratios. So the first one is 4,280. Let's compare that with one of the newest ones we got, which is this one, 2,500. Oh, that's a pretty good engine. You remember this engine? You know, you add it to most of your big rockets now. But then there's the 19,080. Boom. That's so much thrust. It has two variants. So it has a mode for using oxidizer and all that, and then it has more of a hybrid mode where it utilizes these new reactors, which are really awesome. So that's all new stuff, and I figured I'd show you this on kind of my this is what I call my sandbox. So I come in here to mess with new parts and generally try to test out new aircraft and stuff before I invest a ton of it into, you know, the Project Destiny series. But there's some new stuff. And as far as my mod list is concerned, that I've mentioned at the start of the series, where I said I will have a mod list on the website that is finished and updated, and it'll have links to all the mods that I'm using. That is about done. I haven't wanted to update it yet because there's just so much stuff that I've been swapping in and out, trying out. I've added the Kerbal attachment system, plus I've added some just other random really cool mods, and I've been updating things constantly as well. So that will be updated here soon, and then on the website you'll have all the mods. It'll look similar to the WildStar one, where it has all the mods, all the links to the mods, and where you can get them, and all that fun stuff. So let's actually get back to the real story here. Hopefully that will give you a really good idea of what's to come, though. Like, we've got some super sweet ideas for what I'm going to make. I plan on making a remodel of the Daedalus from Stargate, which is something I've always wanted to do in Kerbal, but haven't really had the parts to do it until now. So that is going to be really awesome. I can't wait for that. I've also been working on something I call the X203, and let's talk about that a little bit. Those of you who've been following me for a while know exactly what that's a reference to. Others, you need to watch more Stargate. Now, as you probably could imagine, the X203 is a new type of aircraft we're designing, and it all comes based on the data that was recovered from the Kerbals in the last flight. Like, we got that aircraft all the way to that other island, and we managed to recover a lot of this stuff there. There was, a few little technological bits, but what we didn't notice, and what our pilot didn't notice, is that there was actually some... I'm going to totally remove these and redo this. There was actually some computers there with data on it. Not a lot of data. A lot of it was corrupt, but it did have data on what they were working on, which is a new type of aircraft, and it's a single stage aircraft that goes into the atmosphere, retrieves orbit, and a ton of other stuff. The purpose of this aircraft for them was to then dock with a much larger space station or some type of crazy ship that they had. They don't know. It was pretty ambiguous what was actually going on there. However, what they do know is that it was gonna dock with something. So it clearly had just enough fuel to get into the atmosphere, or out of the atmosphere, into space, and then from there, it docked with something, refueled, either dropped off some type of supplies to that station, or spacecraft, maybe dropped off crew, and then the design for it was to go back down to the planet. Now, this isn't something, crazy. This isn't something that isn't so far outside of the ordinary that it's, it's not like our guys wouldn't have ever imagined this to begin with. It was something that they had in mind for the future, but the fact that they've managed to, get ideas for it and get plans for something that has already been kind of designed means that they are one step closer to already having that technology to go up into space, achieve orbit, and come back down, all in a single stage aircraft that isn't a rocket. Now, there's a big difference there. A rocket takes off in a manner that is, directly, pretty much straight up, right? It's going to take off of the pad, what we've been launching, but this is definitely, the plans they found is definitely an aircraft. And because of this, they've been searching through that data and going through what they thought was potentially good data and what was potentially bad data. What looked like it was going to work and what looked like it was totally not going to work at all from whatever people were here before creating this aircraft. And they've managed, by the way, this is all super top secret. Like, nobody knows about this except for our, high ups in the Project Destiny, and then maybe a pilot or two who have been consulting on how this would actually work. By the way, if you're wondering why I didn't go with these, it just adds so much weight. So we're going to then put our science pieces on from here. Now, this aircraft, now that it's been kind of thought out and figured out for the most part by our Kerbal engineers, we gotta wonder, what's the next step? How are we going to go about creating this? Well, they definitely need a lot of flight data from this mission in particular. it's going to be super important for us to go up, get this data, and come back. There's a lot of different scientific methods that we need to figure out still in order to get this to work. It's beyond our current Kerbal's, I guess, progress, right? It's not going to happen super soon, but going to the moon and back will definitely help the entire process work its way out a little quicker. So it's definitely an important mission for us. We got to get this done, which is why we are currently building our moon lantern. Now this thing is going to be probably pretty basic. It's going to get us there, maybe get us into 2 biomes, and then maybe get back with just enough fuel. Probably not going to have enough fuel at all. So it's going to be a tight mission. That should provide enough propulsion. We have a few engines with quite a bit of fuel. We can hope that's enough. So let's start adding some of the more utility stuff. Because this, I mean, basically, this whole thing, this lander, is designed... there we go. Let's just do it that way. It's designed with one thing in mind, which is just to land and get some data and then come back. So it's not going to be super complicated. At least I hope it's not. So we just need the basics on it, and then the rest of the rocket should be incredibly easy to get done. Oh, that is not going to work. So let us do it this way. Like that. So we'll go with 3 goos. Maybe we'll do 2 goos. You know what? Let's goo it up a bit. They're pretty light, right? So let's go crazy. Let's add a ton, and we'll just bring a ton of data back with us. Yeah, this should be functional. So we just got to start adding some of the other little bits and bobs to it, like solar panels. So the X203 is also, while it is a top secret thing going on, and they're developing it, they're learning the technologies that these other people had, basically discovered or were in the process of discovering. It's kind of ambiguous, kind of unclear. They're gonna need a lot more data to figure that out, but for the most part, they were able to determine that these people were definitely spacefaring. How far they got, they don't know. I mean, the only way to really determine that is to go to these places that we want to go and see if there's any forms of life or whatever there, or any determining factor that other people have been there, whether it's our people from Kerbal or not. So it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be interesting to these Kerbal engineers here, whether or not we'll see any form of of design on the moon, whether the moon itself has any indication that a lander has landed, at least in the spot that we're going to be. So it'll definitely be very intriguing, to say the least. And I think our guys are really looking forward to the whole endeavor, especially Jebediah. Remember, he's been training for this. There was a really cool flight that happened not too long ago that discovered all this really cool data. He's feeling a little inept. He knows that the mission is really important, but at the same time feeling like it could have been me. Could have been me in that plane. I could have been the one to find that great discovery of all this really cool stuff. So I'm sure he's feeling a little down from that, but no doubt this moon mission will definitely bring back even more data, which will probably allow him to fly this said X203. He's in the loop, Jebediah and potentially a couple other pilots, like I said, but we won't know for sure until we get to that point. This is so top secret, not even we know about all of the deets going on. Is there anything we're missing? We have engines, which is important. We have fuel. We have some structural integrity. We have parachutes. We have okay. I don't think there is anything we're missing. We have food and supplies and stuff in this bay. We have batteries. Okay, that's good. We want to take this stage and basically pull that up there because we're not going to need it. We're not. I don't think we're going to detach these. We may end up doing it, but I don't think we're going to do it. The current plan is not to have any detachables there. Right, okay, so let's go to the next stage. So we need a decoupler. We're going to put a decoupler, just there. Now we are going to put a engine, right? This one's going to be pretty basic. It's just going to have another one of these. That will get us to the moon. It'll be one of the main stages to get to the moon, at least. It'll give us an idea of how long these will last, although these obviously will produce a lot more delta V than the single one will, pushing all of this extra weight. So we got to keep that in mind. So the staging is set up correctly. We go to that. Now we need another decoupler right there. Okay, from here we go with our fairings. Now that fairing's gonna look a little silly, right? Let's be honest, that's just what it's gonna look like for the moment, because we don't have a bigger base. Once we get bigger bases and bigger engines and stuff, this will be a little bit easier to design, but at the moment we've got kind of an awkward design going on here. So I'm gonna show you a little tip because of the way this will all work together. Is what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some structural supports, the good ones, yes. We are going to do a little trio of them, and we're just gonna connect them to the bottom of the engines, because that's gonna break off anyways. It's not gonna be a big deal. So that will keep it from wobbling a ton, so we got to keep that in mind. And then now we can add our fairings now that we know that's the case. Also, let's just double check our staging. It's good to go. Structural aerodynamic, there it is. Boom. Okay, so now we can add in the rest of our spaceship. Okay, here's the final structure. So we've got the stabilizers, the launch stabilizers. I've gone with a long second stage because this will get us into orbit, basically. This will get us up enough to really get into orbit. The boosters will boost us out of the atmosphere. Oh, there we go. And then this should get us an orbit. The next part should get us to the moon, and the part after that should land us and bring us back. Technically, that's the way it'll work. Realistically, it's probably going to work slightly different. So what are we going to do? We're going to make sure the staging works. We're going to have the separators there. We have the Separatrons at the top of our boosters. Could probably move that down a little bit, in fact. I'm going to put them right there just so it doesn't flip out, break into this, because it is important that these things just get away from my craft fairly quickly. Let's try this again, because I feel like they can be slightly more out. That should safely get it away. We will most certainly see. There. I feel comfortable with that. No, I feel comfortable with that. Okay, perfect. All of those, the decouplers. Okay, radial decouplers, good. Then we have the second stage goes. Then we have the fairings, correct? Fairings, yep, and then it goes from there, we know. Perfect. Gosh, this thing is actually kind of amazing. I'm a little surprised that I've managed to keep it kind of within reason as far as cost goes. But remember, this moon mission is going to get us a lot of money. And we're going to name this thing the... Whoops, that's caps locks. The Bellatrix. Yeah. First lander to the moon, named the Bellatrix. It's going to be important to have a good name. I think that's a solid name for this. Let's save, and I'm just going to quickly make sure that I have all my moon missions. I do, in fact, have them all, which means it's time to launch. This thing is probably going to be incredibly unstable. As we've seen before, we've forgot one thing. I can't believe it, guys. We have forgotten the most important thing that we learned from the lessons last time we did this kind of launch. We need some type of Control Z. That's the undo button, as you have just figured out. No, we need some type of arrow, which means not like an arrow, but some aerodynamics. That should do it. That should be the one. Okay, let's try this again, right? Save, and then for realsies, we're launching the Bellatrix. It does look quite glorious. Let's be honest. Jebediah, is he ready? He's been training for this. He honestly has been training for this. I think there's no one more ready than Jebediah is at this moment. And we shall launch in 3, 2, 1. Our first mission to the moon. Can you believe it? I can't. It's probably going to explode, and we're probably going to have to restart. So far, so good. I am going to do a slight turn here. I'm going to start my gravity turn, earlier with larger crafts, because they start getting unstable about right now. One thing I want to do, and if it happens, I will do it. It may happen. There is a setting with Ferrum Aerospace which allows you to disable aerodynamic failures, which means when things aerodynamically break apart in the physics engine. And it's because some parts don't play well with it, and it has been kind of causing us problems the past few episodes. Look, it worked. I'm not gonna deny that. That worked. They kind of crashed into each other, but I'm cool with that. Okay, so a slight turn here. Get kind of a gravity turn. Oh no, oh no, no, no. I'm not gonna be able to stop it. I am losing it quickly. Oh. Oh. Okay. Not bad. We are losing speed, but we're starting to get kind of out of the atmosphere. So as it flips back around here, I should be able to regain control right about now. There we go. That's better. Look, what's a Kerbal launch without a little, you know, flip or two? Also, let's look at our map. How high are we going to be? 57. That's pretty good. We want to start going a bit more on a curve here. We're gonna use up most of our fuel getting into orbit. We're not going to achieve an orbit with this amount of fuel that we currently have, I do not think. So we're gonna have to plan this out a bit. However, we should be able to get up to about 70 and then start making an uber horizontal burn, which will get us our orbit. And we're about to run out of fuel, which means we need to stage to the next stage. It's going to be interesting. Boom, get rid of those. Boom, launch. Okay, full throttle. We're full throttle while not gaining much speed, which means that flip really flew me off. Okay, I need more altitude on launch, I think. We have plenty of fuel, actually, believe it or not. This should functionally get us the rest of the way, but this is not going to work. We're not going to achieve enough speed, I don't think. Once we hit about there, we're kind of doomed. In fact, we're kind of doomed right now, because remember, we still need a roughly 22,000 meters per second. So that's not gonna 2,200 meters per second. So yeah, this is gonna be way too bad. Let's try that again. And I'm going to show you what I'm changing on the main menu, so that way you guys just don't think I'm cheating. So while we're here, I'm going to open up the Ferrum Aerospace, and what I disabled was allow aerostructural failures. It's really hard to say. Now, this means that, like, last time when I would make a turn, I had wings almost breaking off, and it was getting really unstable and stuff. And that's simply because in 99% of the mods, they work fine with Ferrum, but there are a few that don't play well because of the way that the parts are designed and just coded generally. And unfortunately, we're using some of those parts, and it really does hurt us in the long run trying to get them to work with Ferrum, because it's not actually behaving realistically like it should, which makes our life a lot harder. And it's just some of the things that we're using to make our life easier. So it's kind of counterproductive, right? Not very good. So that we just got to keep that in mind as we go forward, that I have that turned off. So in some cases, my planes may not explode like others will. So if you're using the exact same mods as me, you may have run into more issues than I might, because I turned that off. And I just find it makes the game more fun, because you're not really having to worry about, like, oh, is this going to totally break? I mean, things will still totally break apart and get destroyed, but for the most part, it's not as bad as it could be.